It is my sad duty today to tell you guys how Capcom has basically screwed us over with Resident Evil 7. It seems like nobody at Capcom really understands what's going on. The fanbase is just screaming Game of the Year, the developer is unhappy, rushes were made, lots of content was cut, and I will be providing all of the proof in this video. This is not just speculation, and if you guys really do love the franchise, share this video everywhere so Capcom can actually hear this. If you just let this go ignored, you're basically bending over and accepting it. We have to make a stand at this point. Guys, please do join me in this journey. We need to make something happen on the level of Mass Effect 3's ending. Just understand the importance of this. You can tell in the tone of my voice in this video, this is quite serious and I'm very unhappy, and you guys should be too. So let's get into it anyway, as always, without any further delay. An interview from Nakanashi, the leading director behind Resident Evil 7. So this is from the mouth of the horse himself. Basically, it looks like, and I already knew this from internal leaks that I had before, a lot of the team were allowed to give their own vision, insight, and ideas on Resident Evil 7, regardless of position. Now, if you guys understand Japanese culture, there is usually a very big cultural hierarchy. People above and below have their alpha and beta positions very well set. Anyone who knows Japanese society will know this well. It's like if you have a job, that's your job and that's your responsibility, nothing else. But with them consulting Richard Parsley for the actual creative writing on Resident Evil 7, outsourcing a lot of the work to external companies, including Western companies, as well as the fact that they allowed lower people in the staff to actually give ideas, there was a lot of internal conflict within the writing, development, art teams, etc. It even seems like the art team was allowed to give suggestions. Now, in Japanese society, this is not accepted well. And the other thing is, apparently, delays were not going to be tolerated while they had this entire internal strife, and they also just couldn't accept what they wanted to do, to be honest. So many ideas were being thrown around by everybody. People were getting very unhappy, and overall, from the internal leak I have a lot of information, and I basically have insight into the company. If anybody wants proof of that, I have an image of Mia here timestamped in a Facebook group that I will put in the description, and you guys can see I actually had a Mia image before her face was even revealed, and as you can see, this is from the Lantern VHS tape. So I want you guys to share this around, please. It's very important. As I said, Capcom gets to hear this. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in Capcom are annoyed that Resident Evil 7 wasn't what they wanted it to be. Now, if you guys remember, 60% of the game had been completed within a few years, and then they got to 100% within a very short span of a month or two. Doesn't that kind of seem like a lot of content was rushed? Well, from what I know internally, about 40% or about 4 to 6 hours of the content was removed, and this had a lot of more developments. We were supposed to see additional boss battles like the ship, and you can actually see this with the options like Save Zoe, where plot holes and duct tape were basically put over the game. And most of the fan base just seems to be screaming Game of the Year, which is really unfortunate, and that's why I do believe that Resident Evil 7 needs to be criticized. And it actually surprises me most of the major YouTubers and reviewers, especially in the professional sector, are not really saying anything about this. Now, if you guys remember my original leak Chris Redfield and a lot of soldiers, as I said, would be at the end of the game, and that did seem to come true. I had images of Mia before it. I also knew that the melee weapon was going to be your first weapon in the game. A lot of things got switched around, and things like dialogue and morality choices were supposed to be much higher in the game, as well as more of the supernatural elements. There is so much cut content here, as well as additional areas. If you guys remember the factory from the actual concept art itself, if you actually look at Zoe's character, she is so underdeveloped as a character, even though she has a central place in the story. There are enemies we are missing, there is locations, all of these things. It is very, very unfortunate. They just kept throwing around ideas, not coming to conclusions and acceptances and compromises with each other, and then when it came close to the final parts of the months when they had a release date, and as you can see here from Nakanashi's own words, delays were not going to be tolerated, guys, we got a rushed game. They don't even want to talk about sales because the game didn't seem to sell as well as Resident Evil 6. They don't want to talk about the future of the series, about whether it will be first person or anything like that, because even now there is internal strife in the company and nobody knows where to take the series. This is why we're seeing a lot of plot holes. I know people like to theorize and think that Capcom has it all under the bag and they know what they're doing, but when you are allowing art directors and random foreigners to put any elements they want into the game, people in the hierarchy, and as I said, in Japanese society especially, are not going to take that well. That's why the rush with the content happened and the game was finished so quickly. Except for, from a marketing development perspective, they didn't want to say any of this. Why? They wanted to mislead you. They wanted you to think the game was so much better than it was. Think about all the claims they made about vehicles and about more content, about starting off in a surprising location. This needs to be talked about, guys. This really needs to be discussed. I need to hear your comments down below, and we need to not just kiss Capcom's ass when they literally are ruining the franchise. How exactly is the start of the game surprising in a location sense when it's actually in the trailers, in the art, and a lot of people were questioning whether it was on a highway that we were just going to drive down? I mean, that was literally based on the trailer, and he's like, no, it's gonna surprise you guys, it's not where you think. They just lied, because they did have original plans. They did have original visions. They did want it to start off in different ways. They did want the game to play out and pan out in different forms. They wanted to add a lot more elements to the game. A lot more elements. And they just cut it all. They scrapped so many ideas. They let everybody in the company do their own thing. And then Big Mr. T gets the final say. So you know who to blame for all of this. Capcom knows who they have to address now. This is just absolutely disgusting for a fan base. And to be honest, I'm really glad that I actually have all of the information and internal leaks, because yes, a lot of the writing team and a lot of the other people are very, very unhappy. I know that, well, let's just put it, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but I know a lot of people are very unhappy about this, and it's Mr. T that's the biggest asshole in this entire thing. Make sure to share this video, guys. I'm not sure if Capcom's gonna try and DMCA my video, but if they do, and if you watch this, anybody from Capcom, I will re-upload it with footage from another game, and if you try to DMCA me, I will counter-sue your ass, and that is not something I take lightly. I will have you in an international tribunal court, because at that point, you have no right to do so, and even now this should be covered under journalistic reporting. So yeah, guys, we've been completely screwed by a company. This isn't exactly the first, the second, the third, or the fourth time this has happened. Actually, if you guys remember about the Revelations trailer, they had a Chris clone in there, and they decided to wing it all the way through, not inform anybody about that. This is just becoming a common tactic of Capcom. Fuck you, Mr. T, really. Big T, who the fuck do you think you are? You arrogant guy, really. You completely destroyed what could have been one of the perfect horror experiences of this century. In the VR tech demo for the kitchen, you could see your body, and as you moved around with your head, the body moved around with you and reacted very well. But in the full game, you can only just see your arms. In the non-VR version, you can see your legs, but you can't see it in the VR version. The VR's cut from certain DLCs, which you outsource to third-party companies, and then you say you're not happy with what they produced when you cut content yourselves. Guys, it's time to stand up to this. It really is time to stand up to this. This is just beyond unacceptable, and I hope you all really get this out there. I might make a second part to this video. It's getting a little bit longer. You guys know I don't like to make content that takes too long, but I was just really unhappy, and now this was the final straw. I'm not accepting this anymore. They're still half trying to bullshit us, and look at what they're doing with Chris Redfield and Umbrella, and they just don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. And Richard Percy is also to blame for this, so put him in the loop for this as well. Just guys, thank you for watching anyway. I'm gonna end it up here. Please leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll just say this: if any other developers are unhappy, your information will be protected. Let's not let developers just get away with this bullshit, directors and big Mr. T's anymore. Take it easy, guys. Have a beautiful day, and peace.